everyone to Putting It All Together Wellness in 8 Dimensions. I'm Dina Savanos, statewide peer wellness coach and trainer for My Health, My Choice, My Life. I'll be presenting today, and also presenting with me is Miss Leanne Crawford of Cherokee Health Systems. Leanne joined the My Health, My Choice, My Life team as a peer wellness coach in 2013. Today we are going to be sharing with you wellness in all the 8 dimensions, ways that you can incorporate all of them into your life and share with the clients you serve every day. We're so glad you're here. Enjoy. So let's go ahead and get started. We want you to think about something. Take a moment and reflect. What did you want to be when you grew up? Think about when you were a child and maybe you had something in mind that you wanted to be. Think about that for a moment and ask yourself why. You can also ask yourself, if you choose, what is or has been your favorite job? Also, why? So think about that for a minute, one or the other. And we'll go ahead and keep that in mind as we get started. So putting it all together, wellness in 8 dimensions. You can see here the references on the slide that all of the info we're going to be sharing with you today has been adapted from Dr. Peggy Swarbrick. Again, I'm Dina Savanos, and Leanne Crawford is with us today, my co-presenter. We're both certified peer recovery specialists. We wanted to let you know that this educational and interactive workshop will help consumers understand that wellness is multidimensional, multifaceted. This workshop will be enjoyed by people in recovery, behavioral health and primary care providers, professionals, and anyone wanting a better understanding of wellness. The target audience for today is anyone in recovery, behavioral health and primary care providers, or just anyone wanting a better understanding of wellness. We're going to be discussing and defining the 8 dimensions of wellness today, and we'll be sharing a link with you in a little while to a wellness inventory that you can take. Our learning goals and objectives. By the end of this presentation, participants, you will be able to define wellness, what it is. You'll be able to list the 8 dimensions of wellness. You'll be able to explain how the 8 dimensions of wellness are connected. And you will be able to give examples of each dimension of wellness. So let's jump right in. What is wellness? Wellness incorporates all of the 8 dimensions. Many people like to think just of one or the other, and I think the physical is always the first one that comes to everyone's mind. But you will see that wellness is multidimensional, and all of the 8 dimensions we're going to share with you today are interconnected. So they all influence each other, and we'll talk more about this as we go. Each dimension can affect our overall quality of life. So when we tend to focus on one or the other, we may miss out on just improving our wellness holistically. Wellness is not the absence of disease, illness, and stress. And this is important because many people that maybe have a chronic illness or a diagnosis might think when they hear the definition that they can't be well. And this is simply not true. So we wanted to share with you today that wellness is not the absence of disease, illness, and stress, but the presence of purpose in life, active involvement in satisfying work and play. And this is very subjective. You are the only one that can define and decide what that word satisfying means. Joyful relationships, a healthy body and living environment, and happiness. Again, it's all very subjective. So keeping in mind that you get to decide what this means as we go forward. Wellness involves balance, the ability to see ourselves as whole people, multifaceted individuals, having a sense of meaning and purpose in life, so very important. Having meaningful relationships, being connected, resiliency and strength shining through, even though we may have endured stressful events. And again, this is very important to understand because many of us have been through trauma, for example. Maybe you're in recovery, maybe you've been through some stuff. That does not mean that you cannot be well. And we want you to know that. All right, so what is wellness? To go ahead and recap, it is a conscious, deliberate process that requires being aware of and making choices for a more satisfying lifestyle. It's self-defined. You get to decide. You get to choose. It's habit-oriented. We know that habits become routines, become lifestyle. It's sleep and rest. This is one thing that is just so very important to so many of us and often diminished. Eating well, yes, that is very much part of it. Productivity, participation in meaningful activity, whatever that means to you. Contact with supporters, reaching out to people. Wellness is multidimensional. It's physical, it's spiritual, it's social, it's emotional, it's intellectual, it's occupational, environmental, and financial. We'll be talking more about these in detail. Now, Leanne is going to share with us how these dimensions may be connected.
Okay, thank you, Dina. So Dina gave you a brief introduction to what the 8 dimensions of wellness are. And so I want you to take a look at the circles in this picture. And she talked about how they're interconnected. And so we invite you to keep this image of the circles as we move forward and discuss the 8 dimensions of wellness. And hopefully it will help you identify the interconnectedness of the 8 dimensions of wellness and how they, each dimension impact each other. So we're going to move forward and we're going to define each dimension of wellness. The first one being physical wellness. And as I said, this is normally the first dimension that people think of when they think about wellness. And so physical wellness is recognizing the need physical activity, diet, and nutrition while discouraging the use of tobacco, drugs, and excessive alcohol. So some things to consider when thinking about physical wellness is, what kinds of physical activity are you engaging in? How much fruits and veggies are you eating each day? How much sleep do you get? And all of this, like Dina said earlier, is subjective. It's different for everybody. Physical activity needs are different for different people. Many people have limitations when it comes to physical activity. Many people have nutrition restrictions. So, what are those restrictions? But how much fruits and vegetables are you eating? What kind of sleep are you getting? Asking you to rethink your drink. Drink water instead of soda. Are you engaging in harmful behaviors such as alcohol consumption, drug use? Are you smoking? Do you brush your teeth daily? Are you getting your annual physicals and other preventative services? So these are things to consider when you're thinking about physical wellness. Next slide, please.
The next thing we're going to talk about is spiritual wellness. Spiritual wellness can mean so many different things. So I want you to think about, what does it mean to you? What are your personal values? What are your beliefs about life? Who are your role models? What feeds you spiritually? What spiritual activities are you involved in? For some people, this can mean going to church. This can mean prayer. This can mean meditation. This can mean doing yoga. This can mean going for a walk and having some quiet time and just connecting with that self-defined other, higher power, God, whatever you want to call that. It represents one's personal beliefs, values, and having meaning and purpose, and developing a sense of balance. Again, that key word, balance, so important.
Social wellness. So this encourages contributing to the environment and community and emphasizes the interdependence between ourselves, others, and nature. And so with social wellness, this is, thinking about who are your network of supporters. How do you find balance between your own needs and taking care of the needs of others? Where do you go to find your support? And right now, we're in the midst of a pandemic. And so we're having to find creative ways to protect ourselves against isolation and increase our paths to remaining social. And so, again, we invite you to think about what are those paths that you're taking to remain social. We need people, and in the recovery community, being social and having those social connections are very, very important. And so, asking yourself, where would you go if you needed to borrow $5? Or, who would you call if you needed to, just have an ear, need an ear. Those are some things to consider when you're thinking about social wellness. Next slide.
The next thing we're going to talk about is intellectual wellness. And this can be defined as recognizing our creative abilities and finding ways to expand our knowledge and skills while discovering the potential for sharing those gifts with others. So, what stimulates your thinking? Again, it's very subjective. For some people, that might be doing word finds or crossword puzzles or reading books or just so many things. The sky's the limit, when it comes to recognizing our creative abilities. Maybe you like to paint, maybe you like to draw, maybe you like to write, maybe you like to read, maybe you like to listen to podcasts. So many things, so many different ways. It's whatever gets your thinking stimulated. And I think it's really interesting to think about the potential for sharing those gifts with others. So what is it that you bring to the world, your special gift that you can share with others? It's just so important to think about that, our uniqueness and our abilities and what gets our wheels turning. And then
can I say something about intellectual wellness?
Absolutely.
One of the things when I'm teaching this group here, one thing that I like to challenge people in my groups is nobody likes to talk about their strengths. Nobody likes to talk about those creative abilities. And so I challenge people to identify their creative ability or one creative ability. And so I challenge you all watching this workshop, when you're working with people, challenge them, ask them, what is a creative ability that you have? And then challenge them again to share that with someone else. Because, Dina, you have a creative ability, a belly dance, and you share that with us. And so when each time you share that with us or you share that with others, you're increasing your intellectual wellness. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And
I
so
hadn't really thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so anytime that we ask people, what are your strengths? People always go to that negative. It's like, well, I could always do better in this. And I'm like, no, no, no. I'm asking you, what's a strength? What's a creative ability that you have? And that boosts confidence. And when I think about, you know, IPS and employability, um, we want to help them identify their strengths and identify what they're good at to help boost that confidence. And so I think this is an important area um, to really get people thinking about what are my creative abilities.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, what is your creative ability, Leanne? Is what comes to mind? Something that you like to share? I mean, it's obvious you have a gift for facilitating. You have a gift for coaching. I know you do. What else might we not know about you that you'd like to share?
Well, I don't know. I've recently taken on I'm my dad has shared his ability of canning with me. And so I've developed a love of cooking new things and canning. And so I don't know that that's a creative ability just yet, but I'm getting there. And I feel like I could teach you how to do that if you didn't know. Um, so yeah. So
That's awesome.
it
It
may be
just
it may be a new creative ability that I'm working on, and I'm expanding my knowledge on it. So yeah,
And just so you know, you can share the fruits of that gift with me anytime, okay?
it's very good and healthy. It only has a fourth of a cup of brown sugar in it, and the rest of it is just spices and pear. So
Yeah, I saw that pear butter, right? That you were sharing on
yes,
your social networks. It looks very delicious.
thank
Yeah,
you,
good
thank
call,
you.
good call. Thank you. So we invite you to think about what your creative ability might be that you could share with others. And we'll move on.
So emotional wellness. So this involves, recognizing and expressing our feelings, adjusting to emotional challenges, and coping. So what are your coping skills? Um, what do you have in your self-management toolbox? That's what we call it in coaching. Um, how do you bounce back? Do you learn from your mistakes? This is a big one. Yeah, learning from mistakes. I think I know for myself, it took me a while to learn from my mistakes and begin to build my um, self-management toolbox. Are you doing things to increase your emotional wellness? For example, taking walks, listening to music, meditation, those are just examples of tools that you may have in your self-management toolbox. And I like the emojis here on the slide. Emotional wellness. Being able to adjust to the smiley face and the sad face, and being able to just adjust between our different emotions. So those are just some things to think about when it comes to emotional wellness.
Thank you. And I love the smiley faces and sad faces and all that too, because sometimes it's hard, right, to figure out how it is we are feeling inside. And it's so important to take that time to just within and ask yourself, how am I feeling? How am I feeling? Kind of do a check-in with yourself regularly and ask yourself, how am I feeling inside? So, absolutely. Thank you. Environmental wellness. So this is one that It's overlooked, I think. A lot of people don't think about that right away when they think of wellness, but it involves being and feeling safe in our living, learning, and working spaces in the larger communities where we participate as citizens. So our environment, this could mean something like how often do you clean your environment? Everybody has different comfort zones when it comes to that. I tend to like my living environment to be orderly and place. Other people might be completely like anxious about that type of living environment, So it just depends on you. So we want you to think about, what your comfort level is there. Also, things like how often do you take out the trash, take inventory of what it means to you to feel safe in your living environment, your learning, working space, and the larger community. Do you recycle? What about, do you volunteer to clean up trash on a trail that you like to go to, a nature trail or something like that? Your work environment can often be out of our control in many ways. I know before we started recording, there was some conversation about the work environment being cold all the time. And that happened to me as well. I had to always keep, a heater by me. And even in the summer, as you were saying, Leanne. So, it could be something like keeping your favorite warm, cozy sweater at work so that when the temperature goes down, you can stay comfortable. All right, financial wellness.
So financial wellness, again, I love this picture with the man with this thinking about travel and saving and shopping and debt and investing. And this is really recognizing all of those things. It's recognizing your income and your debt and your savings and knowledge of products and services and perception of satisfaction with current and future financial situations. And it's, how aware of you are your financial situations. Can you balance your checkbook, your checking accounts? Do you save money? Do you have a nest egg for unexpected expenses? Do you know the difference between a want and a need? And I know that lots of times I spend explaining the difference with between wants and needs with the people that I work with and doing little scenarios to help them understand the difference between wants and needs. A cute little story with my son. He's getting ready to be 22, and he just made his first big adult purchase. He bought a car, and he called me and he said, Dina's laughing. Dina knows this story. He called me and he said, Mom, he said, I'm actually going through the bank, to buy my car. And I was kind of stunned by that, because he was so surprised. And I asked him, I said, where did you think that you were going to be, buying your car? And he said, I thought that I would just be paying the car dealership every month. And I thought it was really cute. And as we further talked, he said, well, Mom, when I was little, he said, every time I saw you buy a car, he said, we went to the car dealership, you filled out the paperwork, and then you just left. He said, you never went to a bank. I never saw you go to a bank. And, that's so true. When we go to a car dealership to buy a car, a bank is never involved through a kid's eyes. They don't see that step. And I had never really thought about the importance of like breaking that down for, a child or a teenager or anything, And so he was so excited that he was going to be paying a bank and not a car dealership, and so it's all of that is parts of financial wellness, and it's things that a lot of the people we work with may not know when it comes to finances. They may not understand things about debt and investing and savings and even wants and needs. They may have a lot of that really confused. So those are just some things to think about when it comes to financial wellness.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that story. How exciting to occupational wellness. Well, this is something that as IPS staff in the IPS community that you're probably well aware of. Occupational wellness as a dimension of wellness means seeking opportunities to participate in activities that are meaningful and rewarding and provide meaning and purpose. So we know that occupational wellness is going to mean financial wellness ideally, but we might not always think about that the meaning aspect, the meaningful aspect. Is your work rewarding? Is it important to you that your work be rewarding? What do you want to do, either for paid employment or volunteer? What gives you that sense of purpose and meaning that you get to define what that means. So taking inventory of occupational wellness is very important, no matter what, because I think, whether it's volunteer work, whether it's paid employment, we all have the desire to want to share our gifts with the world. And it's through this one way to do that is through this dimension of occupational wellness. So, Leanne, do you have anything you want to share about occupational wellness?
Just think that it's important, whether it is paid work, whether you are seeking work, or whether it is volunteer work, that you really think about, is this meaningful? Is it bringing purpose? Because when we think about where are we spending the majority of our awake hours and what are we going to be doing, that it is meaningful and it is bringing you purpose. When I think about my job, I love my job, and if it was not meaningful and it wasn't bringing me purpose, it would be miserable to be in an environment for 8 hours a day if it wasn't meaningful and was not bringing me purpose. So, really, when you're working with people, really talk to them about searching for employment opportunities that are meaningful and provide that meaning and purpose. Or, what are they spending their time doing? That's still occupational wellness, because there's 3 tracks to it. And I think it's important to understand that there's those 3 tracks.
I totally agree. And, this might take some time. You might have to, depending on your financial situation, you might have to take a job that doesn't necessarily provide that until you can find something, down the road that does provide that meaning and purpose. But as Leanne said, it's just so wonderful and so awesome when you can find that work that gives you that feeling of, this is what I'm good at. This is what I like to do. This gives me meaning in my life. I like doing this. It makes all the difference in the world. So taking the time to explore that, and it might take, it's taken me a long time to find it. So it can take some time, but it's just so worth it.
I think that's a good point that you made also, Dina, is, you may have to take something that's, well, this job's not going to really be meaningful or purposeful, but look at it and, when you brainstorm the steps of what is it going to take to get me where I want to be. And that may mean taking that job that is not doesn't provide me that meaning and purpose, but it is meaningful in the sense that it's going to get me where I want to be. And exploring that and helping the person understand that, then it is meaningful for you because it is going to lead you to where you ultimately want to be. And having that conversation and using those motivational interviewing skills to get them and guide them in the direction that they want to be. So good point, Dina. But having those conversations, in the motivational interviewing setting to help them fully understand that idea.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. So, where you're at today may not be where you want to be, but it is a stepping stone, or it is the way to get you to where you want to
Yes.
be. I love that. I
Yes,
love
absolutely. Yes.
that. So true. So true. All right. So, how are they connected? This is
Yeah.
Ian's going to tell us all about this.
Yeah. So in the beginning, you saw the circles, and they're all interconnected. So one event can happen. So in this scenario, it's going to be the loss of a job, and so that's occupational, and that can lead to increased debt, which is financial, which leads to increased stress, which is emotional. And that could potentially lead to health problems, which is physical, which then we begin to question our meaning and purpose, which is spiritual. And then if you're not working, you have limited interaction with others. So that impacts your social wellness and, of course, your occupational because you're not working. When you're not working, you have no opportunities for learning new things through fabulous workshops like the workshop that you're attending right now. And then you have no money, which means less medical care, lower quality of foods. This impacts your physical wellness and your financial wellness. And then if you have no income, then there's a high potential that you may lose your home or have to move to a lower quality of home. And this hits your environmental wellness. So it's one event that has just impacted all 8 dimensions of your wellness. And many times when we're talking with people, they may be telling us maybe about one thing, but I want you to just think about one person that you're working with. And I doubt very seriously that when they come to you, that they're only coming to you talking about one thing that's happened in their life. The majority of the time, they're talking to you about multiple things that have happened in their life. And more than likely, you're going to be able to mark off all 8 dimensions that have been impacted. And so, when you're thinking about occupational wellness and IPS and employability, many times they may be saying, I'm ready to work, or I want to work, or I need to work. And maybe they're not successful with that, or they're not, the stage of change doesn't match what they're saying. And so I encourage you to explore the other 8 dimensions of wellness, because there may be an area in one of the other dimensions of wellness that needs to be strengthened so that their occupational wellness can also be strengthened. When you work on one area of wellness, then the other areas tend to increase also. And so it's worth exploring. I know that I've had many, many, many times, I've had people refer to me for coaching, and maybe they're referred for diabetes self-management, and they get to me and they understand that, yeah, they're here, they need to work on their diabetes, but they're talking to me about all of these other things that are going on in their life. And we really need to work on some other things um, before they're even ready to work and manage on their physical. We really need to capture and work on, maybe some things in the environment before they can focus on their physical wellness. And when they get the environmental under control, then it falls into place that they're ready to make some changes in their physical wellness. So again, just some food for thought to explore the other 8 dimensions.
That all makes perfect sense, Leanne. I do have a question for you, if you don't mind. What might we share today on how to decide what's more important? So someone comes and says, I need to find a job. But then you use motivational interview and you start asking those facilitative questions. You find out that there might be other needs that are more important. Who gets to decide where that importance lies? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. They do. They decide. One helpful tool is, we have a wellness assessment that we do that hits many different areas. But another tool to use is agenda mapping. When they come to you with lots of different areas that they're wanting to work on, or they're throwing a lot of things at you, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, where to start? Is just a sheet of paper, and you draw a lot of circles, and you can put, different things, diabetes, housing, and different things that they mention. And then you just ask them, what's most important to you on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the most important, and rate all of them. And you let them choose where they want to start. And then we have a tool that we're going to go over for each dimension of wellness that can help the person really look and see what areas that are growth areas for them. But the short answer is they decide.
I love that. It sounds very empowering. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Leanne's going to tell us just a little bit more about managing wellness.
So many things can impact our wellness. Some examples: stress, trauma, addiction, disappointment, loss. And when we look at this, we've been in stressful times through the pandemic, but stress of all different realms can impact our wellness. And again, I want you to keep an open mind when it comes to stress. What seems stressful to someone else may not be stressful to us. Trauma, there's big T and little t when it comes to trauma. That's a whole, we could spend all day talking about trauma, but it definitely impacts our wellness. Addiction, disappointment comes in many forms. Loss comes in many forms. It's important that we balance work, play, and rest. And if you notice, we've mentioned balance many times through this workshop. It's very important for our wellness. So, balancing time out for recovery in our lives, makes our lives full and productive. Next.
Yeah, I just want to say I love that it is important to balance work with play and rest, because, most of us tend to get in the mindset of we have to just go. We have to do. And that's just not realistic for anyone. So giving yourself permission to rest, to just be, or to play, to do something fun. I think that's so important.
Absolutely. So habits, we mentioned earlier on that wellness is habit oriented. And And habits are key for wellness. And I know many people, they come to me for coaching and they want pill. I want a pill for weight loss, or I want a pill for whatever. Um, and it would be nice if we could, have something that could magically make, everything better for us. And I want you to think about how early our habits were ingrained in us. When we were babies, uh, we were fed, and we were fed whatever our caregivers gave to us. Um, and that happened for many years, right? And so um, we got used to that. That became our habits, and then we grew to that became our routine. That became our habit, and then now, whatever age we are, decided that we want to be well, or our doctor is telling us, you uh, have a condition of diabetes or high blood pressure, and you need to eat differently, or you need to be physically active. And we feel very frustrated, and we feel a realm of difficult emotions around that. And so we automatically go and we buy all this health food, and we fill our refrigerator up, and we eat nothing but that for 2 weeks, and then we're like, oh, we can't stand this. And it's our habits have been ingrained for years, and then we all of a sudden want to just, and it shocks our body. And so for a true wellness and healthy lifestyle, we have to develop new habits, right? And it takes time. We have to be patient. And the other thing is, it's self-defined, and it's what does wellness mean for you, right? um Dina and I have very different lifestyles when it comes to wellness, but it doesn't mean that we're each not well, right? So it's self-defined. um so it's about developing healthy habits when it comes to healthy eating. And I like to use the word healthier when I'm working with people. Is how can you make things healthier when you're starting out with a wellness lifestyle? It tends to make things seem more manageable when you're starting out. Um, but healthy habits, healthier eating, physical activity, sleep, healthcare, managing your healthcare, getting those annual physicals, preventative services, following up, being a part of your treatment team, um, working on those unhealthy habits, excessive alcohol, drug use, inactivity, so getting some physical activity, fat-laden foods, smoking, all of these things can have immediate and long-term effects on our wellness. So again, remembering that our habits are ingrained, they've been with us for a long, long time, and it takes effort to change and make new habits is a key to wellness.
It does, and it takes bravery, a certain amount of bravery to say because many of our habits have become our culture and part of our identity. And so this can be challenging, yeah, for so many people, because they feel like they're gonna lose who they are as maybe their family has done something all of their life, particular habits or a way of eating or whatever this may be. And so, it becomes who you are. And so it can be scary. I know this happens with people who might be trying to cut out tobacco use. They feel like it's part of who they are, and it's been with them for so long, they don't know who they'll be without it. So yeah, those habits become your life, and it is hard, at least at first. It takes effort, and I love that you use healthier. I love that because, I'm going to be healthy. I mean, that sounds just like pie in the sky, but if you say I'm going to be healthier, that puts it back into your sort of control. It's more manageable that way. I don't know if I'll ever be healthy, but I can be healthier by doing this today. Small little change and keep it going. They say it takes what, 31 days, 21, 31 days, about a month to
Yeah.
create a new habit. And then that becomes your habit. And then that becomes your routine. And then that becomes your lifestyle. And then that becomes your life. So, yeah, I love that. It's very exciting to think about changing and how
Mhm.
it's hard, but it's ultimately mostly, in our own hands, right? So it's just very empowering to hear that. All right. So Leanne's going to tell us about this self-assessment that you can take.
Yes. So, Dr. Schwarbrick developed a wellness inventory, and I don't know if I can, no, I can't, but I've got it right here. So it's a self-assessment tool. It looks like this. It takes you through each dimension of wellness, and it asks you a series of 10 questions. Well, maybe more than 10 on this one. It's a new one. It's 2017. But it asks you a series of questions in each dimension of wellness, and you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 4. Um, Always true, sometimes true, rarely true, and never true. And what it does is it allows you to record your strengths and your thoughts about areas you want to change or improve in each dimension of wellness. And when you're working with your clients, peers, not sure what you all call them, um, this is a good tool when we were talking about how the 8 dimensions are connected, and encouraging you to explore all 8 dimensions. This is a fabulous tool to help you see and help the clients see, what areas of wellness that they, have growth areas, where they would like to begin to make some changes. And it's a great tool to help them identify goals and begin to do some action planning, goal setting. And I use this tool all the time in coaching. You can give them the packet, have them do the packet at home, bring it back. You can, do the packet with them, whatever is the easiest for you. I would also encourage you to do the packet and do the inventory. It was pretty neat, and it changes, don't just do it once and never do it again. Do it, and then 6 months later, do it again. And do that process with your clients too, because it helps them see where they've grown, where they've set their goals, achieved their goals, and show it. Look, you identified this 6 months ago as a growth area, and now it's not a growth area anymore. It's a strength now. Look how you've grown. And give them that affirmation that they've grown, build that confidence up. So this is a wonderful tool all the way around to use with the people that you're working with. Um, so encourage you to use it.
It can be so empowering to do that, to actually look back and be able to see, I have grown here, I've changed. I was here and now I'm here. It can be just so empowering, confidence building, and just kind of mind blowing to see that about yourself. And what a wonderful gift, that you can share with clients, just taking that time to look at this with them. Maybe it's something they've never thought about before. Maybe they thought about one or the other dimension, but not all of them. So just taking that time and helping them explore themselves and where they're at and where they want to be is just such a wonderful gift and a powerful exercise. It can also, strengthen that connection. You learn so much about a person, they learn so much about themselves. So absolutely, check it out, and we hope you enjoy it and take it yourself and use it with your clients. All right. Well, we have come to the end of our presentation today, and we thank you so very much for being here with us. It's been a joy, it's been a pleasure, it's been a privilege. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to either of us. You have our contact information here. Again, I'm Dina Savanos. You can call me or email me at csavanos@tamho.org. Leanne Crawford, her contact information is right there. We invite you to reach out to one of us, both of us, anytime with questions you have about this presentation or questions that you have about wellness in general. We would love to share with you, and we invite you to reach out to us at any time. Thank you so much, Leanne. Thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you.
wonderful. Thank you. Be well, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you to my co-presenter, Leanne Crawford. We wanted to remind you that there's still more great sessions to come, so please visit the session lobby to find out more, and also the exhibit hall for more great resources. Go ahead and hit the survey button at the top of your page to fill out your evaluation for this session. Thank you.